When I was a little girl, my mother came to me and said, I need you to go to the store and buy a loaf of bread. I lived in New York City. There was a corner store everywhere. She handed me a $5 bill and she said, hey, look at me. This is my last $5. Please don't lose it. Now I felt what any what any 6 or 7 year old with ADHD would feel like, super proud, right? My mom's trusting me with her last $5. So I took that $5 and I put it in my pocket and I set out to the store to buy this loaf of bread. When I got down there, my best friend Bonnie was riding her big wheel. I know I'm dating myself, but for those of you that don't know, it's a little 3-wheel bike and I didn't have one. So she said, do you want to ride? And of course, I wanted to ride. I don't know how long I was riding or how many laps I made of the block, but my mother came outside and stood in front of the bike and said, where's my loaf of bread? What loaf of bread? What are you talking about? She said, I gave you my last $5 to buy a loaf of bread. And then the memory washed over me, and along with it, all the feelings that I have felt since I was a child when I screw up. Guilt, shame, dumb, all of it, right? And my mom was amazing. My mom knew instantly when I started searching my pockets for that money, that money was gone. She just pulled me in close and she was like, don't worry about it. As I started to cry, we'll figure it out. And that's how my mom handled all of my mishaps. Well, today, as a 56-year-old woman with ADHD, I have had many of those mishaps. And I have learned several things. But today I want to talk about what I feel like are the top 3. So let's get into it. Number 1, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit no matter what. No matter what I did to try to fit in with the way others learn or do things, it just never worked, right? I would take a job that required me to pay attention to the tiniest detail. I'm sorry, I'm moving the camera, sorry. I would take a job that would require me to be detail oriented, and yeah, I got fired. I started law school only to allow that voice of you're dumb, have me not finish law school when I aced the entrance exam. We'll talk about that point later. You know, people tell you when you're cutting certain things to cut with the grain, wood, a beard. Is it with the grain, with the beard? I don't know. I've never cut a beard. Or meat, right? But as a woman with ADHD, I was always going against the grain because I don't slice easily that way. And so the very first thing that I learned as a person with ADHD is that that's all right. It's okay that I don't learn like other people and I don't do things the way other people do them, because I'm a different person. I'm different even than another person with ADHD, because we are all different. So, first rule, accept yourself for the beautiful, thoughtful, funny, talented person that you are. All right, lesson number 2. The information sent is not always the information received. This is a very big one for me. I once spent the entire day on a project that I swore was what I wanted to do with my life, only for the next day to have completely lost interest in this project. Now, this might be different for other people with ADHD, but the reason that that happens to me is that I don't want to plan out. I want to skip to the end. I want the product. I don't want to learn how to do the thing. I just want to do it. I am a person who, when I'm reading a book, goes to the end of the chapter to make sure all the people are still alive, right? I want my happy ending. I do the same thing in movies too. So I'm a person who knows all about market research and business plans and all that stuff. But I don't want to do all of that. I just want to do the thing. Now, it isn't that I don't receive the details. I do. I get that there are details in all the projects that you want to do. I totally get it. I just don't want to be bothered with all the details. So what I'm trying to do now is receive all the information, read the whole book, right? So I'm going to start a project. I don't want to look and see if people are interested in this. Is this, a viable idea? Are people already purchasing this? I don't want to do all that. I don't want to do all that. However, I do want to know what is the best way to proceed with this project. So what I do is now I start a project, but I do not allow myself, and let me tell you, this is like ripping an arm off your body. I do not allow myself to complete that project on the same day that I start it, because in the middle of that, I put in a detail or two. Then I start working on it again, and then I put in a detail or two, right? And that way I integrate the details with the doing of the projects. I don't let it last a long time. I'm not lying. I'm not going to do a project for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks unless it's something that has superseded my ADHD, like learning Chinese. But I am going to sprinkle the details in there. It reminds me of something a mentor told me years ago: simple and soon. It does not have to be perfect. It just has to be complete. So lesson number 2, the word imperfect still has perfect written in it. All right, and finally, the third, and this I'm going to refer to my script a lot because I don't want to lose any of the details, because this one is the most important one, I think. My whole life, I felt those things that I told you about earlier: dumb, hopeless, guilt, shame, right? And in my adult years, I try to suppress them and just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. I find that people with ADHD are very good at that. We can just keep it, just keep it going. But the problem is that those things don't remain suppressed, and they cause problems. And they cause a lot of problems. And in my case, they caused emotional problems, and they caused financial problems, and they caused mental problems. There's a lot of problems. When a project failed, I immediately ran because it triggered those feelings of guilt and shame, and I'm dumb, and I'm dumb, and I'm dumb. And when I couldn't do math in school, I would look at the professors' faces and I would know I'm dumb. And when I was not able to express myself in my marriage, and I could see the look on my husband's face, and it was like I'm dumb. I just couldn't do it. The guilt and the shame and the hopelessness kept me from reaching for the stars because I felt like I didn't deserve them. This is not true. It's not true of me, and it's not true of you. So what I've learned is that feelings may be valid, and they have to be acknowledged as such. They do not, however, have to be acknowledged as true, because That is not true. I'm not dumb. You're not dumb or hopeless or shameful or any of those things, right? So now I separate myself, like I'm looking at a mirrored image of me. So I'm standing over here and my mirror image is standing over there, and I talk to her. All right, what went wrong with that project? I don't know. Come on, tell me. What do you think went wrong with that project? Oh, no, I'm just can't do it. I'm just dumb. Is that what's going on? Is that why you ran? Because that project made you feel dumb, right? So in this conversation, I get to see what my real feelings are behind why I'm running. And then I can decide whether or not this is me talking and that doesn't want to do this project, or is it my fear and my feelings talking? Because if it's just my fear and my feelings, well, I can do something about that, right? I can do something about that. I can be afraid and still proceed. That's what courage is, right? Courage is not a lack of fear, but the ability to move anyway, right? So this lesson is that I talk to myself. That thing really works. That thing really works. So number one, accept that you learn differently. Number two, imperfect still has the word perfect in it. I had to look. And number three, talk to yourself, even if it makes people think you're crazy. So that's it. That's the 3 lessons that I've learned as a 56-year-old woman with ADHD. I hope that you find this information useful. You are going to find from this channel that it is very much like a person with ADHD. Sometimes we're going to talk about ADHD. Sometimes we're going to talk about ADHD while we're making a chocolate cake. Sometimes we're going to make a chocolate cake while we're talking about flowers. I don't know. That's what's so beautiful about YouTube, right? You just do what you want. Just be a million things. Just be a million things. And if you are also a person with a million things and you want to join me on my journey of a million things, then please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.